Hey everyone, Dan at Bushcraft. Well, as you guys can see, we got snow in the Ochiko Mountains. What I was hoping for in testing out this little last-ditch kit was snow. I wanted some tough weather conditions. So it is well below freezing out here. I got my gloves, and it rained, and the rain turned to snow. And our forecast has about 5 days of snow coming up. So it's probably only going to be another week before I have to use my ATV in order to get to places this high up, because the roads will start being snowed in. Anyway, we are going to test out the fire kit part of our last ditch kit today. And we're going to make a couple fires. So I have a bandana I consider to be a part of my kit for fire starting. Get this up here where you guys can see. And what I really want to test out is this little fire starter aviation sparklight kit. I have never had one of these in a kit before. It's got the little quick tinder tabs and the striker. So I am going to challenge this today, knowing that this is a part of certain military survival kits. I want to see how it would perform if this is all you had in conditions like this. So this is going to be my primary fire starter for the day. And of course, in addition, I do have my Ferro Rod, which that, along with my cotton and Vaseline, is going to give me fire quite easily. I've done a lot of videos. So I've got cotton saturated in petroleum jelly in here, tear off a piece. You know, I can have 5 to 7 minutes of burn time real easy. One shot of sparks. That's pretty much a give me. I've done that out here for years, numerous times, numerous situations. Never had a problem getting fire. But this little sparklight kit is new to me. So like I said, I want to challenge myself with that. Oh, one more thing. I need my Swiss Army knife. So I have, as mentioned in the previous video, I have my SE6 on my side and it would be great for batoning out some pieces of fatwood, getting some dry limbs and twigs. But to really test the contents of this kit, I'm going to restrict myself today. So I'm going to use this, and if I need my bandana to transport any small items, that. I've got a couple big pieces of bark here because I'm going to try to do at least 2 or 3 different types of fires. I'm going to see if I can get fatwood. I'm going to see if I can get dry twigs. So using these 2 items as my primary source, let's go see what we can find for resources. Okay guys, I'm going to turn you around here. So in this type of situation, I'm going to be keeping my eyes out for any type of fatwood. That would be old stumps. It would be root wads. And I'm going to be keeping my eye out for something dead. So you see right there, see the brown? I'm surrounded by green. And a lot of times up underneath these green fir trees, like right here, for example, is some dry dead limbs. But what I see over here is I see one big fir tree that has a lot of dead material on it. Yeah. So this is going to be, yeah, look at all that in there. See how dry that is. It's a little damp, but it still snaps. All right, let me pause you guys. All right, for fire number 1, I'm going to just try dry limbs and stuff. So I'm going to grab a whole bunch of the smallest stuff I can get, because the thing that worries me is, unlike my cotton ball saturated petroleum jelly where I have 5 to 7 minute burn time, I know those quick tinder tabs burn as few as 30 seconds. So I need to try to find some fine stuff and some drier stuff. So this is what I'm pulling out of there. And it is a little damp on the outside, but it's snapping when I break it, so it is dry on the inside. So I'm gonna gather a couple handfuls of this and go back over to our piece of bark, and we'll test number one, see if we can get some dry or semi-dry small limbs and things burning with that little fire starter. Okay guys, I'm gonna try this bundle right here. I've got some mosses and some lichens, lots of fine limbs, and some of those dead fir boughs in there. Everything is a little damp on the inside, but it's snapping when I break it. So let's go see what we can get done. Okay, I think for this first one, what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna open this up. I've got an opening right back here. Maybe if I turn, you guys can see a little bit better. And see if I can put one of those quick tinder tabs right down in here and pull enough material up over it to where it would actually get a fire going. Again, I've got this up on a piece of bark so I can dump it, because I'm going to try to get several different small fires started. So I'll break some of this stuff off here. And all right, we're going to try that. So I got one of my quick tinder tabs, my spark light, and boy are my hands getting cold. So there's my spark. All right, I'm gonna fluff this up on one end. She'll do both. And get some finer stuff sticking up. All right, and I'm gonna try it down in here. And see what happens. So it's not igniting real easy. With cold fingers, it becomes quite challenging. It would be much easier to use my ferro rod. I'll give it another shot here. So that right now is the biggest thing, is my fingers are really, really cold. I'm losing dexterity. So in a cold environment, let's see, I'm not sure that I can spin that with my gloves on. I'm gonna try it. Yeah, we'll try it. Well, not as easy. All right, so I'm learning as I go. As I said, I've never used one of these in a kit before. There we go. Not that easy. Not that easy at all. All right. Let's see. Will that give me fire? Well, it looks like it's going to do it. All right, so it's a little more challenging than I thought. Again, the cold hands are a big issue. Much easier to use a Ferro Rod, but it will work. Definitely would use my Ferro Rod and cotton ball as my primary source. And to be honest, in a future kit after that, I don't think I would carry this. I think I would opt for a lighter that I could warm up in my armpit and get working in below freezing, or maybe some wind waterproof matches, but that's pretty challenging. Although the little tander tab did give me enough burn time to get fire number 1 started, so if we had more stuff to start piling on this down on the ground, our first fire would be a success, and that feels really good. So I'm going to warm up my fingers for a few minutes before I dump this on the ground, and then we're going to go try to get another experiment and see if we can get another one going. Okay guys, here is a stump completely loaded with Fatwood. Normally, 99.9% of the time, I have my small hatchet, my folding saw, and my knife all on my belt. I've done a lot of videos on that. So no problem, I'd take my big saw into this big piece of Fatwood, take my hatchet, baton down, take my knife and make some fine shavings and scrapings. Beautiful fire. But for the sake of the idea of a last ditch kit, something happened, and this is all I've got. I've got my SE6, which I'm deliberately not using, and I've got my Victorinox Ranger. Can I get some Fatwood out of this stump with just the Ranger? We're gonna find out. And I need to be able to get in enough to get some drier stuff, so with a little help from my boot, I have Fatwood now. That's wet on the outside, but I think inside there will be all right. So let's get a few pieces of that. Let's see. Okay. Start it down this way. So that gave me another small piece. Nope. So it's a little bit of work. It's not always gonna break out of there. Let's try that. Nope, this one is gonna have to get sawed out. Another piece here. All right, so you can see the process is going to be time consuming, but I am going to keep at it and get a couple more pieces out of there. So let me pause you guys while I work at this. There we go. Finally got it out of there. I sawed down about halfway and then gave it a good hard kick and it broke out. So I can, on these big old stumps, get Fatwood out, but it is definitely much more work But if I was unable to find any other tinder source, the woods up here are filled with these old stumps. So I can get at that fatwood. I got a few other pieces. So let's go back and try it again with this fatwood. Okay guys, using my Swiss Army knife, the blocking blade, and this piece of fatwood, my bandana. I want to get me some shavings, some small cuts out of here. That I can ignite. Oh, that's a nice piece there. And this is going to be a process, obviously. Take some time. That's the kind of the thing about the small kit. Bigger tools, I'd have a bigger piece of wood, and I'd have no problem getting me some cuts out of this much easier. So I'm going to work at this for a little bit and get a pile up for you guys. All right, got this shaved down pretty good. So I had it on my bandana to keep everything dry. I'm going to put it out on this piece of bark. So I want to see if one of these quick tinder tabs and the little sparklight kit will get fatwood shavings going. It should, no problem. And then of course we'd have other material to build on that with. So I've got that floured out. A little more than last time, so maybe it'll light easier. I'm going to put that right here in the middle of this. And we'll try it. Yeah, see, these things just do not work that well, at least in this environment. There's a lot of moisture in the air. And I've got that thing all opened up. There we go. That's just too much work. That's just too much work. I mean, there's fire. And then of course I could put my bigger pieces of the fatwood that I collected around that. That big piece there actually ought to take right off. So here's the deal with this, guys. In this type of weather condition, everything's humid, everything's wet. Maybe the tinder tabs are picking up a little bit of humidity. My fingers are cold, so I don't have as much dexterity. And that's all the spark I've got to work with. And I also read that these things are good for like 100 or so strikes, and then they quit working. I would not recommend this for a kit. So I'm going to be removing this from the kit and replacing it with a small Bic lighter, which as long as that took, I could have put the Bic lighter in my armpit while I was making my shavings and stuff, got it warm, and then it would have ignited. But you know, and I would tell for military survival kits, people who use that spark light system in their kits, you're much better off with even a small ferro rod. You know, I prefer my great big one that's actually in my pocket. I put a small one in the kit. But that is just a much more reliable source for getting sparks. So let's do another one, and let's use the ferro rod this time and just see how much easier that ferro rod is. All right, I grabbed me another bundle of limbs and fir boughs. I hear that popping in there, cracking. So it's damp on the outside. But dry on the inside, plenty dry enough to get a fire ignited. So I'm going to use another one of these. But this time with the ferro rod. Fluff that up again. Set that down in here. Now, one thing about the ferro rod, if something's a little damp and struggling and stuff, in addition to that, you can also create a constant spark. So I'm actually going to hold this down. At least try to. So what I'm learning, guys, there. So those quick tinder tabs don't ignite even really well. Much easier with the ferro rod. My fingers are cold, but I don't need as much dexterity to do that. But you know what? I don't want that to take off. I'm going to get that out of there. Because rather than carrying those quick tinder tabs, I think, like I said, I'm going to switch this whole system out for a lighter, keep my small ferro rod, and I could just double up. Look how, that's the little mini Altoids tin. Now there's a lot of fires in this thing. I have that big long piece of cotton in here that I did for you guys, about a week and a half ago. And I'm just going to take a piece of that. So I could easily have 2 of these containers. And that would give me a lot more than 10 of those quick tinder tabs anyway. And I'll open this up, turn it inside out. It's all saturated with petroleum jelly on the outside. So my dryer fibers are on the inside. Put that in there. And now we'll try it. All right, come on. Well, I got to get down to the drier fibers a little better, I guess. Still got most of the petroleum jelly covered fibers on the outside. And this is why we come out here and test things out. We learn as we do. All right, so I'm gonna get a little more. There we go. Now I got a piece from the inside. Load that up there. Getting petroleum jelly all over my fingers. All right, let's try this again. Not everything always goes to plan. There we go. So that's all I needed. I had a few dry fibers on this one, and it took a single strike. And now I have fire. There we go. So that is just a much, much more reliable method. Much more reliable using a ferro rod and cotton saturated with petroleum jelly than using that whole Sparklite kit or those quick tinder tabs. And of course, in my pocket anyway is always my big ferro rod. So that gives me far, far greater sparks than just the little one. And actually, swap this out with a lighter. And it's a little more weight and a little more bulky, but if I can squeeze it down in there, I'm going to go ahead and switch back over to a full-size ferro rod as well. All right. Let me pause you guys. Finish this up. All right, so final conclusions, guys. Again, when I started this kit, if you go back to the first video, I said I wanted to try something new. I'm always starting fires out here year-round with the ferro rod, Fatwood shavings. When the weather's really bad, switching over to the cotton balls. And I'm always using my big ferro rod. It's always in my pocket with me. And for the kit, I tried a smaller ferro rod, and I wanted to try that little Sparklite kit. So for me, my opinion, the Sparklite in this type of weather conditions is too risky. Them little quick tinder tabs only give you about 30 seconds of burn time, which means you got to work a lot harder out here at coming up with material. And the my hands, my fingers being so cold as they were earlier. I got a fire going over here now. I moved all my stuff down to the ground so I could get a fire going. And losing the dexterity of my fingers and them starting to go numb, and then that making it very painful, that was just way too much work. That was really a lot of stress and stuff to work that little Sparklite. So I would say for any type of a kit in winter, snowy, wet conditions, I would not recommend that. I would stick to the traditional ferro rod, cotton balls with a lighter as a backup, and that's all the lighter is, because the ferro rod is going to be your main source, and then having 1 or 2 little containers just packed full of cotton saturated with petroleum jelly. And make sure when you use it, you get the inside fibers that are dry. I just tore off an outside piece to start with, and so I had to go back in and make sure I got an inside piece that was dry. And then that got my fire going really good. So first thing on this little kit, obviously I got fire 3 times in a row. And I'm out here all by myself in the middle of winter, so no problem. My fire is burning, build it up, I'm good. But I'm going to improve on the kit by adding more cotton saturated with Vaseline, petroleum jelly, and switching over. I've got plenty of large ferro rods, and I've got a review coming up shortly on a brand new brand that I really, really like, and is about half the price of the Uberleben and as good, if not better. So that's coming up. Watch my Wednesday videos. That's when I do the gear reviews. Saturday we'll continue on in this series because we've got to do water, we've got to do shelter, and whatever else comes our way. So let me pause you guys one last time. I need to throw some wood on my little fire I got going back here. So I'm going to get that built up and get warm. Dan at Ochiko Bushcraft, hope you guys are liking this series. And that's why it's so important to get out here, guys. You can watch somebody else's video, or you can read the reviews on Amazon. This is the great fire starting thing or whatever. And then you come out and you try it in the middle of winter and whatever other seasons you're going to be out in for your various equipment, and find out what really works, what works best for you. And so again, test your gear. Thanks for watching, and take care, everyone.